The TV show The Biggest Loser premiered on October 19th, 2004 and was designed to push their morbidly obese contestants to their limits and their bid to lose as much weight as physically possible in a 30-week time period by putting them through an absurd restrictive diet and intense cardio sessions. And the contestant that lost the most amount of weight on the show was Michael Venturella, who weighed in at 526 pounds at his heaviest and lost a record-breaking 264 pounds. So today, I'm going to be living the day of the life of the Biggest Loser regime and seeing just how difficult it is, and living more strict and diligent than the Saudi Arabian border control when homosexuals are trying to get into the country. The contestants would start the weight loss camp by looking at a table that sort of resembles the Last Supper and say goodbye to all their favourite treats and snacks. Just to resemble this myself, I just looked at my fridge blankly to try and reenact this. They will then be sent to the scales with all the enthusiasm of a priest walking into a strip club, where they would face the realisation of the number in between their feet, which they probably couldn't see because of their belly, so would need for it to be read out to them. I've been there before, it's not a fun experience. But that was all about to change as they were put on very restrictive diets, ranging between 1,200 calories for the women and 1,500 calories for the men, following a high protein and low carbohydrate diet spread across 4 to 5 meals throughout the day. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, and it's probably going to be about as much fun as going on work experience with a suicide bomber. But before they could open their mouths to consume the minimal amount of food they'd be having, they'll be opening their mouths and panting from all the cardio sessions. Okay, so I just got done doing some high intensity interval training for around about 20 minutes, which burned 135 calories. And then I'm sweaty than Gary Glitter after leaving his laptop at the computer shop and realising what was on there. It was quite miserable doing all that, but after that it's breakfast, so I'll see you for that. So breakfast is served, scrambled eggs on toast. The options are about as lucrative as a homeless person's bank account, so this will have to do. Obviously no tomato sauce, no salt, no pepper. This is it, which comes to 433 calories. So I'm going to see this off now and I'll see you back for another bit of cardio, or weights I think it is, after this. Following a pitiful breakfast, a weightlifting session would happen, ranging from body weight movements to free weight movements for the contestants to pick from. Okay, so I just done a back biceps and shoulders routine, which took around about 45 minutes and burnt 310 calories. And after this is the midday snack, so I'll see you back for that. But for lunch, I've gone for a protein bar, which is around about 150 calories and 15 grams of protein, which is going to leave me about as satisfied as beating Marley Matlin at a game of musical statues. It's a guaranteed win every time. There is no satisfaction in winning. So I'm going to have this, and after this is lunch. Right, so here's lunch. Chicken Preston salad. Ugh. Look at it, all flaccid and rubbish. All that effort in the cardio just to end up with this as your reward. It's like trying to become a millionaire your whole life, ending up being rich, getting a chauffeur, but it's Marcus Alonso after having a couple of pints. The salad in there has a lot of volume in it, and obviously there's a lot of protein from the chicken, but I mean, look at it, bland and crap. I'm going to unfortunately get this down me now, then after that I'm going for a walk. Okay, so I just got back from my walk now, which lasted around about an hour and burnt 256 calories off, which is definitely the sort of cardio you want to be doing if you are someone that's overweight. They should have been making the contestants do way more walking rather than the high interval training stuff. Because the walking, while it might not seem as flashy as other forms of cardio, it can definitely go a long way. So let's say, for example, I burned 250 calories off just from that walk alone. Across a week, that's 1,750 calories. And across a year, that is 91,000 calories, which will equate to around about 26 pounds of fat loss, just from an extra 250 calories per day just from walking. So don't underestimate the amount of steps you can get on a daily basis, because it can definitely go a long way, especially when you're overweight and you maybe haven't got the mobility to do other forms of cardio. Which leads on to the second and final snack of the day, which is a protein yogurt pot, which is to gear me up and fuel me up for the final cardio session of the day, which is going to be around about a 40-minute stationary bike session, which I'm not looking forward to be honest. I hate the stationary bike. I used to religiously use the stationary bike when I first started losing weight, and since then it's given me some form of like PTSD of going on it, but I'm going to grit my teeth and get on with it, and I'll see you back for that. Then I was on to my final cardio bout of the day, feeling tired and more drained than Harry Kane's salivary glands after saying a tongue twister, but with the same amount as willpower as Paul Merson not going back to his gambling ways when talking about Sky Bet. I dug in deep and made it to the end. Okay, so I just got done with the bike ride, which lasted 40 minutes and burnt 245 calories off, which I remember why I hated doing that bike so much. My arse feels like it's been in the walls of Jericho, just completely numb. There is dinner after this, but I'm going to wait a couple of hours. I feel how Lily Phillips must feel after having 3/4 of London in between her legs, just tired and used and abused. So I'm going to have dinner after this, so I'll see you in a bit. Brings me on to the last meal of the day. A few hours have passed now since those cardio sessions. I've sort of relaxed a little bit. I don't feel as drained. Which is some vegetables with some salmon. I've never actually eaten salmon before, so that'll be quite interesting. I've always sort of associated salmon with recently divorced men who are trying to go on a bit of a health kick to put their life back together, so that'll be interesting to try. So I'm going to see this off now, then I'm going to go through the overview of the entire day. So that concludes a full daily regime of what it would have been like to be on the TV show Biggest Loser, when the contestants, after eating their final meal, would be sent to bed and probably questioning all their life choices and why they were even bothering. By the way, that salmon was absolutely vile, to be honest. It went down as well as a Holocaust joke during the Shabbat gathering. It was absolutely disgusting. I'll never be trying that again. The total amount of calories I actually ate throughout the day ended up being 1,207, and I burnt off a total of 946, which sort of falls into the next thing I want to talk about, is actually the negatives of this diet. Obviously completely unsustainable and unrealistic. It doesn't resemble day-to-day life in the slightest. A lot of these people on this show would have been able to maintain their weight of over 3,000 calories, so making them cut down to 1,200 or 1,500 is absolutely unrealistic, and it's no surprise that the vast majority of the contestants put the weight back on after the show was over. The next negative I want to talk about was just how much cardio it was. It was completely excessive and unnecessary. What they should have done is just make them pick one form of cardio and stick to that and get better at it over time. The thing I'd pick is walking, because it would have suited all their needs and they wouldn't have absolutely dreaded doing it, rather than interval training or anything like that. But it wasn't all so bad. There were some positives throughout the day, and I'll go over some of them as well. The diet actually being high in protein and fibre is very good, because protein and fibre keeps you more full. It's more satiating and takes longer to digest. They just needed more volume to the meals, a higher calorie amount, which would have made it a lot more sustainable and make the meals not as bland as they were. Any low calorie sources would have been a way better choice and would have made the diet way more enjoyable, rather than just the bland crap I had to eat all day. And the final positive I'll give them is they actually incorporate the weightlifting routine into the regime. This is good because at rest, muscle burns more calories than fat does. So actually putting more muscle onto their frame will make them burn more calories just by existing. So that concludes the typical diet of what it would have been like to be on the TV show The Biggest Loser. It was complete and utter dross.